Hello, everyone. My name is Renata Barros. I'm a judge in São Paulo State of Court and also a blockchain researcher in the Blockchain Research Institute. And well, this is probably the toughest challenge I'll ever have in my life, because how does one talk after the former president of Estonia? How does one talk after someone who's actually achieved so much considering states in public services? Well, my formation is in law. And as hard as it seems to believe, law is actually a trust technology which was conceived to make relationships easier, to make businesses easier. But nowadays, no one sees like that. Actually, when we talk about law, usually people say, well, I'm on the boring side of the thing. Or, okay, I have to talk to the lawyers. Or, oh my God, I have to go to court. And technology has been actually being an even more important part of our lives, and it has increasing day by day. And how does law interacts with technology and online environments? Well, we know that hasn't been a very easy task, because we've got very high expectations. We want to have our problems solved quickly. We want to have everything easy. We want to access everything from our phones. And that's a fairly reasonable expectation. We've got a lot of tools for private services, but most of the time, we don't have the same kind of tools for public services. So we've got new solutions, then we've got new problems, then we've got new conflicts, and then we've got new solutions, new problems, and new conflicts, and this is going to be solved by the node justice system. And that's a huge problem. Just for you to have an imagine of what it's the judicial system in Brazil, we've got 78 million cases in courts in Brazil. We've got 18,000 judges, which demands that 4,000 cases are decided by year per judge, so that we don't increase the number. And that's a huge problem, because you know that, well, what are people looking for when they go to court? Do people like to go to court? No. Actually, when we go to court, we are looking for conflict resolution. And what's the situation we've got? We've got consumers' vulnerability, we've got lack of information, lack of access to information, we've got parties who may not agree about their platform solutions. And sometimes, technology is an obstacle. In Brazil, for instance, not everyone is alphabetized. Not everyone knows how to read. And the population is aging. Sometimes they don't have the dexterity to deal with mobile phones. After court, we've got an overburdened court system. We've got complex, expensive, slow, and frustrating legal processes. We've got budget restrictions, lack of competition in the public sector, which actually is something that makes new solutions harder to appear. On the other hand, we've got the stabilization of the court decisions, but at the same time, they don't go cross borders. Oh, that's really hard to happen. So, fact is, people don't want courts. People want their outcomes. So, how do we deal with the justice gap? Because this is the main problem here. We've got 86% civil legal problems who received inadequate or no legal help, and this was in Florida. And I believe that maybe in Brazil or in other places, this number may be even higher. We've got 71% of low-income American households who experienced at least one civil legal problems, and 1.7 million problems which received more than half of the number, received limited or no legal help. So, blockchain will transform justice by reducing the justice gap. And how will that happen? The decentralization of the justice starts by decentralizing the outcomes. Nobody wants more courts. Everybody expects the outcomes provided by the justice. So, what's the situation now? We've got faster, cheaper solutions compatible to the nature of transactions conducted digitally through ADR and ODR. We need cross-border solutions. We've been making businesses every single day, cross-border businesses. When one buys a book from Amazon, it actually has a data transaction that cross-borders 2 or 3 continents at a time. And solving conflicts discourages people to go to court. Obviously, if you can have your problem solved quickly, why would you actually file a lawsuit? After court, well, procedural guarantees, they are really important, but most of the time, they inflict a slower pace to the lawsuit. That's a fact. There are cases where people can't afford to wait for a sentence. Businesses have been conducted really fast on a really quick pace. Sometimes they can't wait for a month or 2 to have a resolution, let's say a year or 4. People can't wait for that. And when jurisdictional action is limited to a territorial base, it's a disadvantage considering other means of dispute resolution. So, how can we decentralize justice? Well, before court, we've got several blockchain solutions that are already being developed, such as Claros, such as Juris, Aragon, SageWise, Jury Online. And for every single situation, each of these solutions is actually a good solution for marketplaces, for instance. You can have your conflicts solved, your dispute solved by jurors that will be taking their places on platforms such as Claros. And after court, how blockchain may actually help us? Well, why not apply those solutions as a mediation layer in the court? Why not? We can have a pre-solution of the case through this mediation platform. And maybe this will discourage the pirates to continue with the lawsuits. Maybe they will be satisfied with this solution. Why not settlements and lawsuits enhanced by any form guarantee enforced by smart contracts? If I can have a guarantee on a platform with a smart contract, why can't I enforce it like that? Why can't I have a settlement enforced like that and automatized like that and transparent like that? I can have a chain of custody of documents, proofs, payments, decisions, court orders, and release license that can work cross borders, that will show transparency, that can be actually achieved immediately, and that will produce their effects really fast. See, for release licenses, for instance, 1 day in prison on a person's life is already too much time. Privacy of the parties can be respected because you need public lawsuits, public decisions, just to evaluate how justice is behaving towards societies. But why not actually protecting privacy of the parties, but still using the lawsuit as a way of harvesting data? For instance, from those 78 million of lawsuits, we've got 400,000 lawsuits that deals with health care problems. That shows that we've got 400,000 problems concerning healthcare, and that's a state problem. That's not a judicial problem. We could use that data and actually not inflict to the privacy of the parties. The privacy of the parties could be actually preserved, and still we could use that information to build a better place, to have more access to health, for instance. And we can have faster, safer communication between courts, allowing cross-border procedures. And I want to remind you guys, justice is not a place, justice is a destination. So my presentation here is just to show you and bring you a new question. How do we achieve that? How do we achieve the outcomes? How do we bring this destination into our reality? Thank you, everyone. This is what I had to say. This is where you can find me. I think we've got a few minutes for questions, if any. Does anyone have any questions? No? Thank you, everyone.